Coaches Training Thursday. So today what we're going to cover, our Training Thursday covers different scenarios. And today what we're going to cover is a refinance scenario in Edge. What we're going to do is compare our current mortgage, which happens to be an FHA that was taken out. I built a fixed rate, just a 30-year term. We're also going to compare a 15-year term, and then we're going to work with ARM products. So I picked a 5-1 ARM. I'm going to show you worst case as well as best case, and then we'll describe the two, how you can work this within Edge, and it's quite easy to be able to show, and I'll explain the difference between the two. So with that, we'll go through the product. Let me go ahead and clear out my screen real quick. In Edge Report, you can see that we have a lot of bit of data here, but I want to be able to show you where I could get quite a bit more data. So if I go into the More Info button, just want to point out my loan balances. So I do have my appraised amount is right here that's listed. So we're going to be working with an appraised value of $365. You can also see in the summary area the different P&I payments. So we'll be working with quite a bit of different ranges, and we'll be able to discuss that as well. The loan also, because the appraised amount, we're removing that MI that's currently on the loan, and you can see the other loan comparisons don't have MI. So that's going to be a big chunk of savings that we're going to save. So with that, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and open up your question area in GoToMeeting. First off, if you've been on the call before, you know the routine. Just let me know where you're from, what company, and what area you're from. Gives us an idea when we go through monthly costs. Also, what company you're from, so if I could give you any kind of information that we're working with. So if you could go ahead and open up your question area. Also, as we're going through the training, ask any questions along the way. If you want me to repeat any questions or go back to the screen, please let me know, and I'll go ahead and re-show that, because this is your hour and it's for me to show you how to use the system. Oh, Taffy, I didn't realize you were with Mortgage Network. Did a lot of work with them at one time. David's Finance, Maine. Okay, David Gooch, Maine too. And Rick Sandro, Fairway. Got that down in Houston. Okay, we're dealing with quite a bit. Another Fairway, Kim Livingston, thanks. Oh, you're new to Mortgage Coach. So let me just show you a couple things for those who are new. This is our Training Thursday. Oh, great, Maria. I'm working with some of Finance America's information, so that's great. What we'll do with Training Thursday is, again, this is a QA. As you start getting more familiar with Edge, this is a great way of learning different product scenarios, but it's an open area. So if you put any kind of questions in the question area, I really will address those questions in detail. So I want to point out, let's go into Mortgage Coach Edge. While you're logging into your account, if you want to follow along and develop this program product with me in the sample, get that hands-on experience, definitely log in. So for those of you who are logging into your account, and if you're not quite of your, oh, another Finance of America, hey Shannon, Ohio area. So just go ahead and if you don't know your password, log in. You can email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. and they'll be able to get you that password, and you'll be able to follow along with us. So what I do want to point out is our settings, is our help area. In the help area, if you go ahead and click on the help, it will open into a new tab, and this will provide you a lot of video tutorials that we have. So I wanted to point this out for a couple reasons, because at the very top we have a month's calendar of events. We also archive a lot of our calls. So with the calendar events, this is how you could get quite a bit of training. So what we do have is our Tuesday coaching calls, and then we have our Friday, actually it's Monday now, we do an introduction to Edge. So it starts out, it goes through the basics, just getting you familiar with Edge, the settings, fee templates, and walks you through a report. So it goes very slowly, and it's just for a beginner's class. We started a new class on the mobile mentality. We hold that every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. This is great if you're not familiar with the mobile device. We'll help you download it, as well as how you can use it with your partners as well as your borrowers, and be able to record a video message, things like that. So this will get you up to speed on your mobile device. Training Thursday is the call you're on. But I want to point out the Mortgage University. If you go ahead and click on the link at the very bottom, it provides you all that content. So not only is it items where you would be able to sign up for each, we have a 101 and a 102, but it provides you a list of all the different things you could do in Edge. So if you're wondering what I could do, come in here and you could take a look. We have widgets, we have all different types of things that you'll be able to use with your Mortgage Coach Edge account. With that, let's just go back one page. Just go back to our knowledge base. And just to point out real quick, the archive. If you go to the archive, this has all our coaching calls on it. There's some great content in here. We also have our Training Thursday and a pre-recorded beginners course here. So we have all the information recorded. Today's call will be recorded and put at the base of the August calendar. Okay, so now let's log into Edge. You should all be here now. So we're in the home screen. So I've already prepared the report that we're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new one so you could follow along. So click on New Client. That way starts a new report, which is a TCA, Total Cost Analysis, or Rent versus Own. The other one is the New Partner, and that will help you develop open house presentations as well as seller buy downs. So let's click on New Client, and let's start this process off. I'm just going to go ahead and place my name in here. So Lori Lytle, just pretty simple data input here. Co-borrower if you have that. I'm keeping on Own. If I chose Rent, this gives me the Rent versus Own option. So you can capture your referral, the email alerts if you want to, your assistant or if you have a realtor partner want to receive those email alerts, you just place an email address here. I'm just going to go ahead and put our support email address in. And for friendly name is just a reference name for you. So I'm just going to put in Training Thursday so I know that this is my working file for today. And that's the basic input I need. Once I advance my screen, you could go ahead and capture your goals. So if you're doing a purchase, you always want to make sure you mark Purchase a New Home because this excludes the refinance screens. So I'm going to leave this unmarked, so we are doing a refinance. But if you have any of these other options, you go ahead and mark them if you want to be able to capture that data. So now we're just going to move to the assumption screen. So there's quite a bit of information in here, and this is what I want to describe how it correlates with a refinance. You're familiar with the property value or if it's the purchase price on a purchase. So in this particular scenario, the purchase price is going to be $365,000. And I place this in there. This is what's going to go ahead and control the LTV percentage, which will also be your cutoff for your mortgage insurance. Then we have a couple other fields here. You'll notice the one in red, we need to have that one. The other ones are just optional. So let me explain that since you are doing a refinance, and these are options for the refinance. A lot of times when you're working with the borrower and you're creating this total cost analysis, sometimes you get the complete information on the current mortgage, sometimes you just get a little bit. So if they provided you a P&I payment, you could go ahead and enter it here, but it's just for a reference. So it's more of just to be able to see what they provided. We do not use this number. So I wanted to point that out. So I'm just leaving mine empty for now. You have the original appraised value. This is for the current mortgage when they took it out. So at that point in time, the appraised value was $300,000. This appraised value for the original loan amount, this will go ahead and trigger the LTV for the current mortgage. So for MI cutoff, things like that. So that's the reason why we have asked for the original appraised value. Current payoff amount, I'm going to come back to this field after we fill out our current mortgage and explain this a little bit more. So with this, let's go ahead and advance to the current mortgage and let's start filling out that information, discuss it a little bit, and then we'll come back to this payoff field. So with our assumptions, a lot of times you might not have, as I said, all the information. Sometimes you might only have the ending balance because that's going to start their new loan amount. So if that's all you have, you could go ahead and place that dollar amount in this area. And you could do your comparison and start it out as a refinance and exclude this current mortgage from the report, because a lot of times you don't have this information, but you want to be able to provide a refinance scenario. So always put a remaining balance, and I'll show you when we get to the select report screen how you can exclude this current mortgage from the report if you don't have all the refinance details. Otherwise, let's go ahead and let's place in our information. So in this particular case, their first payment date on the loan was July 2013. Their loan amount was $300,000. They had an interest rate of 4.125. Let's take that back, 4.25, and a term of 360. So you can see for us entering this information, that is all the information we needed to develop the remaining balance as well as the P&I payment at the base. So this is where it comes in. We always put the display of what the payment would be at the bottom, and this way you can compare and see if that's the same number that your borrower provides you. Is this that same payment? And if not, possibly one of these numbers are different. Maybe the interest rate was slightly off. So what you could do is try 4.5. Are you closer to that payment? So this is how you can sort of work the numbers here and be able to modify that P&I payment slightly. So remember, this is P&I. It doesn't include the mortgage insurance or the taxes, or it has an insurance, straight P&I. So with that, we have all this information, 300,000, 4.25, and a term of 360. So with that, my remaining balance is 288. So you can leave it here, and this is what we work our cash to close from. But some people want a true balance that might be a month and a half down the road and when they actually close, and therefore another payment might have been made, maybe two. So this remaining balance would be lower. If that's the case and you want to show a different balance, that is when, if we move back a screen, that is where the current total payoff amount will go. So this is a field that works for cash to close. So anytime you put a figure in here, it will go ahead and use this for your calculation for cash to close. And as you have your mouse, you can see that description over it. And it does say, if you use a second lien, do not use this field for your cash to close. So just want to be able to point that out. So I'm leaving mine empty, and my cash to close is going to be calculated off my remaining balance in this field here. And if you have any other questions on this, go ahead and let me know, and I could address this further. Or if you're thinking about it down the road, I am going to come back to this after we create a report and discuss this a little bit further on different type of products. So here's our fixed rate loan. It was also an FHA back then. So at that point in time, the MI percentage was 1.35. It's FHA, so I want the declining balance. And I also know it was for the life of the loan. So I put in that information here. I also want to go ahead and put in their hazard insurance. So I'm going to go ahead and put 0.35 and then 1.25. So now I have all my monthly costs entered for my current mortgage. As I move on, you can fill out information in the affordability screen, but I'm just going to move on to the products and just work with the products as well as that current mortgage. So let's move on to the product screen, and let's first compare that fixed rate loan. And once we have the fixed rate loan in here, I'm going to start making it easy for you. We're going to use the copy from button here and be able to create these quite easily. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put in conventional. Actually, I'm just putting fixed 30-year. Because I'm going to compare it to a 15-year, and I just want to know which is the difference between this fixed and the other fixed. So you do have product templates. Want to point that out. If you're on an enterprise account, you might see some product templates in here. They're quite easy to create. I'll show you how to create them once we finish this product, especially with our ARM products. But I'm going to build this one from scratch. So what I'm going to do is start with is I'm going to go to my Copy From button. We've already entered data in that current mortgage. So let's use that to copy from. So I'm going to say OK. And you can see how my data went ahead and came over. So now I want to do is this a refinance? Mark it yes. You'll see that the labels have changed. Now we're showing equity, not a down payment. And you'll see that it went ahead and brought over that base loan amount, the outstanding balance of that current mortgage. So you have that information already brought over for you, so it makes it quite simple. Yes, Lisa, that is where I'm going to roll back to. Lisa is asking to have an ARM loan on the current mortgage. So I will be, after we do the fixed rate loan, I will come back and touch and show you how you can do a refinance on an ARM. And I think that's what you wanted, Lisa. If not, go ahead and let me know. So back to our fixed rate mortgage. Let's go ahead and update this with a rate of 4.125. Quite close to the initial rate, but this time we won't have mortgage insurance because you can see the LTV over on the right-hand side. It's below that 80% mark. So let's put 360. I'm keeping it as a fixed rate loan. Let's advance to the right, and we're going to go ahead and place our fees in here. So go ahead and place in 15 days or whatever day you quote for prepaid interest. And then I'm going to go to our closing cost screen. If you're on an enterprise account, I know some of Fairway's Mortgage Network, I believe if you go in here, you could select your state down, and then there's some templates built for you. I'm going to go ahead and just pick a template I already have, and you can see how it's easily will populate down for those fee templates. Anytime you have a fee template built, it's easy to be able to build upon it and build more fee templates for you. So in an instance, if your company has provided fee templates, but maybe your branch has an additional fee or something slightly different, go ahead, pull down the fee template, but instead of modifying every time, go ahead and put in your numbers and save it as a new template and make it custom for you. So this way it's going to make you go through Edge a lot quicker. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put in my titles, insurance, and owner's title. There is none for refinance, so let's remove that. So what you can do is if you have a purchase fee template, like I did, I removed my owner's title, and now I could go and save it as a template, and I could go ahead and label it and put it as refi. You can also build templates. If you originate in multiple states, you could go ahead and put your state test in here, and then when you do a selection, only those for that state will display. So that's how easy it is to have fee templates, if you already have them, to build upon those. And if you have any questions, if you want a little more information on fee templates, after we cover this topic toward the end, I could go ahead, if you would like it, put it in the question area, and I can cover fee templates in a little more detail. So now let's go to our monthly cost screen, and you'll notice all the information for our monthly costs carried over from that current mortgage. So that's another way you can also save on time. So in this instance, let's remove our mortgage insurance. I'm opening up the percentage and deleting that 1.35. If you want, you can remove the 360, but because I have no data in my factors or my monthly amount, you'll never see that. But some people just want to clean it up. That's fine. I can remove that as well. So now go ahead and put in your reserves. I'm just putting 2 months hazard and 4 months on taxes. So now we completed our fixed rate product for 30 years. I also want to show them, hey, you have paid it down. I just want to show you that 15-year and what that would look like. So let's add another product with that green button at the base. Let's put in our title, fixed, 15 years. And let's use that copy from button, because this is what you're going to do and make you go fast through the product. Okay, Marcelo, I'll go ahead and we'll talk about fee templates for the end of the call. I'm going to go ahead and go to my copy from button, but instead of choosing current, I want to choose that fixed rate because I've modified that loan to be my new loan option. So I'm going to go ahead and choose fixed rate, 30-year, press OK. And now I need to make the modifications. You see all the data went ahead and carried over. Now it's the time to go ahead and update your numbers. So my fixed 15-year loan is going to have a lower interest rate of 3.75, and I want to change my term to 180. So with that, I advance my screen, and my fees carried over from that copy of the fixed rate. So unless you need the changes in fees, you can go in here and modify it or pull down a new template. You could go ahead and do that. In this instance, I'm just pressing cancel, and I'm keeping my fees exactly the same as I have on my fixed rate 30-year product. Now let's advance the screen, and then my monthly costs are also going to stay the same. And I need to check, I think, let me check one item on my monthly costs and make sure they're all consistent with one. I'm going to change it to 2.5. Okay. Just one moment, and let me just, what I do is, you'll see how if you hover your mouse over any of the options down below, you'll see your jump outs. And those are just quick ways of moving in the screen. I want to update my monthly cost for my both fixed products, and I'm sort of cheating. I'm going to my second product and moving back one screen and modifying that number. Advanced, let's modify it for my product here as well. So now we're all even. Okay. So let's add our third product, and this is where we're going to discuss ARM products. So with that, click on Add Another Product, and let's call this a 5-1 ARM. And I'm going to identify this as worst case. And when we get to the ARM terms, I'll describe worst case and I'll describe best case for you. So let's go to that Copy From button again, and let's copy from the fixed rate 30-year product and press OK, and all the data carried over. So now let's change the interest rate to 3.125 and keep the term at 360. But now what we're going to do is in the loan type, we're going to change it from fixed to ARM. So once you have done that, what this is doing by making an ARM, our next screen is going to be our ARM term screen. So as we advance the screen, now we're going to go ahead and develop our ARM terms. And this is where you also, anytime you do an ARM, and if it's new ARM products, you always want to save a template, so this way you don't have to key this information over and over. So my first adjustment would be after the 5th year, or the adjustment cap is actually 5%. I'm doing a 5.25. First adjustment month is after the 5th year, and you actually put 61 here. And the reason for it, on the 61st payment, that is when your payment is actually changing to the new rate. Periodic cap, after that 5%, it's 2% thereafter. And then after the fixed 5 years, it adjusts every 12 months. My ceiling is 5% over the start rate of 3.125, so that's 8.125. My margin in this case is 2.25. And this is how you get the index percentage. If you go to our drop-downs, you can see that we have a list, and we also have the index percentage of today listed for you. So if I go down to the base, I'm finding my 1-year LIBOR, selecting it, and it brought that rate in for me. And my floor rate, if you don't have a floor on your product, then it can never go below your margin. So I've finished my setup for my ARM product, and when you save your template, this will be saved for all future use. Now let's talk about worst case and best case. So we have the description down at the base here, what the worst case scenario is. And with the worst case, what it will do is your interest rate will adjust at that first adjustment, that 61st month. It's going to increase 5%, so the payment will be based on 8.125. That's the worst possible scenario that the loan could have. So 5 years from now, the indexes change, rates increase, potentially they can have an 8.125 note rate. So also we have best case. And what best case will do, we'll create our second product showing best case. And you'll see what best case is it takes the rate at that first adjustment, and it only adjusts to the margin plus index. So this is what the APR is based off, is your best case scenario. But the worst case scenario is what is shown on your Reg Z right now in the summary of boxes right below, the projected payment. On the new loan estimate, the projected payment, again, will reflect worst case. So to show your borrowers apples to apples, these are the numbers that are going to be on your form. But it's always good, let me go back to my report real quick. It's always nice to be able to educate the borrowers with the worst case as well as the best case, so you could show them the range of what it potentially could do. So you could see with that, understand a little bit more. So at the month 60, or for 60 months, we have it at the start rate, 3.125. Then the 61st month and thereafter, the interest rate bumped for that 5%. So now it's reflecting the worst case at 8.125. Now let's look at the best case. So in the best case, the payment stream, you could see you have the same 60 months at 3.125, but instead of adjusting, it looked at the criteria of margin plus index. And at that point, it took that amount, looked at the periodic rates to see if it can adjust, and then use that rate. So you can see at this point in time, there's no more movement because the margin index is quite close to that start rate. So that's the difference between the two. And what you'll notice, the difference will also reflect in that APR. So you can see that huge range, but it also is because of that payment stream and having that rate of 8.125 for the remaining term of the loan. So it's a lot to understand, but ARM products are a great product, especially with nowadays when people don't really stay in their house longer than 5 or 7 years. And what I'm going to do is also, when we get back to the product, really dive into the short-term savings and show you this kind of savings and what it represents. So wanted really to understand what that worst case is, what that best case represents, and this is how you could show it on your report. So moving now, the next screen is your fee screen. And again, it carried over because we made that copy. So if you want to make any kind of adjustments, you could go ahead and make your adjustments again with your fees. And then we come to our monthly costs. So let's add our fourth product. It will be the 5-1 best case. And then we'll be done and we'll start talking a little bit more about the product. So I'm putting 5-1 ARM best. Go to your copy from button. Go down to worst because it has all your ARM information. Let's copy that over. Press OK. And all the information stays the same. It's exactly same as your worst case, but let's advance the screen and let's change it from worst to best. Advance your screen and now you'll have them both side by side. And then all your monthly costs carried over. So now let's advance. We'll go to the analysis screen. You always, on a current mortgage, you always want to make sure that the benchmark is set to the current mortgage. You'll probably notice if you're following along, everything is probably comparing after 15 years. So let's go ahead and show that and let me. And the reason for this is the highest payment. The 15-year mortgage is a higher payment than all the other products. So our system's automatically going to compare against the highest payment. So that is the reason why you always need to come in here and make sure you are putting your benchmark set to the current mortgage. So everything now is comparing to the existing mortgage they have. So now let's move to the presentation itself. You always want to put a quote date on, so I'm going to go ahead and put today's date. And let's preview the report and let's talk about this a little bit more so you can understand all the difference between worst case, best case, And also coming into um, the reinvestment area, let's change this so we'll be able to see the short-term savings after the rate has changed. Right now, this is a fixed rate loan, and because it has such a low rate compared to the other products, you're having that higher amount of savings. So let's discuss that a little bit more. So you have your current mortgage here, plus the fixed in the 15-year. You can see in the payment stream, there's no mortgage insurance listed, a 30-year lien. Same with your 15-year. We already discussed the payment stream reflecting for an ARM product. And now let's go into our short-term savings and discuss this a little bit, and then let's go ahead and work with that numbers to be able to show you and be able to show that borrower how that rate and that ARM product can change. So if we go into that More Info button, let's go ahead and clear out our highlights real quick. Anytime you're on the preview copy, you are able to make highlights. You also clear it off with the Clear All button that's located at the bottom center, and it clears all the highlights at once. So the short-term savings, it's savings over 60 months. At 60 months, the rate has not changed on those ARMs, so let's check out the information here. So you have your current mortgage that also includes mortgage insurance. Then you have your fixed rate 30 and 15, and then your ARM products. So you can see how much more their savings just based on interest as well as that MI on their new products. They also have those closing points. So you have that added to it, and then you have your total cost of the loan. And that's what we do our comparison with. So as you start getting more familiar, we have just a little bit over a month before TRID happens. And the third page of that loan estimate discusses that 60 years, that tip number. All that information is really in this area. And so by describing this area in detail to your borrower, you really be able to help them understand when they get that loan estimate what those numbers on that third page mean. So with that, I want to be able to explain this a little bit more. So now what happens on the 6th year? The rate has changed. My worst case, the rate is going to bump to that 8 1/4. So how is my graph going to change? So in our short-term area, let's go ahead and modify the 60, and let's reflect 7 years. So I'm going to go back to Edge, and we're going to the analysis screen. So hover your mouse over analysis and click on it, and you'll see the numbers right above that benchmark. So you have the short-term area, and we're going to bump that to 7 years. So that gives us 2 years of the rate adjustment. So let's take a look at what those numbers will do, and you can see how the savings really has changed a little bit, especially on that worst case scenario. So let's go take a look at those numbers real quick. And you'll see that the report will be updating shortly. I currently has reflecting 60 months. Once you hit advance the screen, am I on the right product? It will go ahead and make the update. Let's see. Let's go to Edge. I'm on the wrong report. There we go. It's on the last one right here. There we go. See how it changed to 84 months. Let me go ahead and close out our old pro. This was the one we started with. Okay, so now you'll see that that lower area has changed. And with an ARM product, you should be using Edge Live, where when you're discussing this on the phone with them, you could really dive into that ARM information. So in that short-term area, we just changed it, and now we've had 2 years of a rate adjustment. Now look at the differences potentially with that ARM product. You can see how the payment savings on that fixed rate 15-year is really accelerating now, and even that 30-year product. So if we go into that More Info, you could see with the 2 years of interest adjustment, how that 5/1 worst case is really moving down. You could show them that, yes, on your interest rate, if the interest rates are still low, you're still saving quite a bit of money, but we're not quite sure what the rates are going to be after 5, 6, 7 years. So you want to be able to provide them the education on potentially how that can happen or what can happen. And that's a lot of the with it, that's a lot what borrowers don't know. They don't know the range of what potentially can happen at that mark when the rates adjust. So that's how you can easily talk to them about that 84 months after the rate has changed. If you've done a 7-1 arm, always push this to at least 10 years to be able to show them how a worst case scenario as well as a best case scenario will work for them. So you're educated about the full aspect of that loan. Okay. So now what I want to do is go back in, and I mentioned if you don't have all that information on the current mortgage, say you don't have that rate, you not quite sure what that loan, all the criteria is, but you do know that ending balance. So as I mentioned before in the affordability screen, and I'm going to go ahead and remove all this data because then we'll go ahead and make this an ARM one afterwards. So say you don't have all this information. But we know the dollar amount. Let's go ahead and get it real quick. My ending balance was $288. So if you have that information, all you have to do is put that ending balance in the remaining balance field just like I did. Leave all those other fields empty. Advance your screen. You'll notice now with my mortgage, I don't really have a lot of information here. So we want to remove this. So what you would do is in Edge, go to hover your mouse over presentation, choose select report, and this is how you can remove a product from your report. So I unmarked current mortgage because I don't want to show it yet because I don't have all that information. I advance my screen. You could go left or right, but always advance the screen because that triggers the save for your data. So now you'll notice it just made the change and my current mortgage has been removed from the product. Now we're just creating the comparisons with the different products here. Let me take a look at something. Just one moment. I just want to point out we all make mistakes. I'm trying to figure out where my mistake is because I have a little bit of cash to close issue. So that's what I'm looking at, and then we'll be able to make the modifications. But before I do that, let me go ahead and I want to talk about putting in that ARM so you'll be able to work with this with the borrower. So say you don't have all the information here, but you do know that remaining balance. So this is how you could start off the option and just make sure each product is marked refinance. So make sure you have them all marked as a yes, and then they'll compare against each other. But once you start talking to the borrower, you can start filling in that information for the current mortgage. So going back to the current mortgage, you've talked to them and they provide you that information. So they had it at 300, whoops. They did take it out, 7/1/13. They had a $300,000 mortgage. Say they had an ARM you found out. So they had an interest rate that started at, say, 3.5 and a 360 term. So with that, you want to change your ARM, have that information here, and now you would just fill in that ARM information. And again, if they have any information, they'd be able to provide that to you. A lot of times the adjustments, they're still not quite sure of. I was thinking that too, Lisa. Lisa was assisting me because my cash to close is so far out. It's probably when I removed that information, it did change that number that it was calculating off, and you're probably correct. So what we'll do is let's put this information, see what happens, and then go take a look at that, the report. So with the assumptions, we have it in 20. You're probably right, it's a good guess. So with our adjustments, say this was a 5-1 and they took it out at that point in time. So it hasn't been 5 years, so they're still within that fixed rate period. So this is quite easy to do then. You would just do that same information. If their first adjustment was 2%, let's go ahead and do it that way. And the first adjustment month was 61. Periodic cap is 2% also. Adjustment months is 12. Max rate was 5 above the start rate, and I believe, let's see what I have, 3.5, so 8.5. Margin 2.5, same index, say. Let's go for the LIBOR, and 2.5. And we'll show worse. Again, you have options show both. And then as you advance, let's take a look at our report. Hey, guess what? The cash codes was changed. You're pretty much correct. When we changed that, removed it, it was a perfect guess. So with that, you could see our cash to close has been modified because now we have an ending balance in there. Moving over to Edge, let's put back on that current mortgage. Go to Select Report. Mark Current Mortgage so it shows back on our report. Always advance the screen. And let's go back to the report, and you'll see that that current mortgage is going to be added back to the presentation. So adding products and removing products is really great. You can always, maybe you only comparing the 15 and the 30 and a 15 year, but you really want to show them an ARM. You can always hide these two, just like I hid the current mortgage. And when you talk to them on Edge Live, you can bring those up, and I'll show you how you could do that in a moment. But again, you have that current mortgage. It is an ARM product. We don't show much details on it, like the payment stream, because this is already it's live. So in the sense of you don't want to quote a payment stream that could be different. We do have estimates. We definitely know what the rates are from this point going forward as an estimate. But with that current mortgage, you definitely don't want to be able to show it. So that's why we get a lot of questions, why isn't the payment stream there? So I want to point that out. So that's how you place in that ARM information. And then let's go back to the presentation, select report, and let's remove those ARM products. So you'd be able to show the borrower a presentation of just the current mortgage compared to a fixed rate loan. So you can see how you can have a presentation built. You'd be able to reach out to the borrower, just show them those 15 and 30 years compared to that current, and then start holding a conversation. Have you ever thought about an ARM product? And as you're using Edge Live, you could go ahead and bring that up in the conversation. So now what we'll want to do is just transition a little bit to Edge Live to show you how that piece works, and then we'll wrap it up and go through the fee screen. So with Mortgage Coach, let's go to the presentation to preview, and let's generate the link button. This is the link that you would want to copy and paste and place in an email. So with that, I'm just going to write it down real quick, 16TTR2. So with that, I'm going to show you quickly how to do a video on the desktop, and then when I bring up the mobile showing Edge Live, we'll switch it and I'll show you how to do a video on the mobile device too. So if you click on Add Audio Video, you'll see that you have the same presentation, but in the lower right-hand corner, you have, or left-hand corner, you have the Record Message button. I'm going to allow my camera to be used, and you'll say, hi everyone, I'm Lori. So this is how you can work putting a video on from your desktop. And a lot of times people don't have the camera on the desktop, and so we also have the capability now to record on your mobile. So I'll show you that in a moment. So with doing a recording, just want to point out on the desktop, you'll see you have your record button, so you could go ahead and place it on record. You can see at the top it is recording. You have your play button. If you're talking along the way, you want to pause it, you can go ahead and do so with this button. You have your stop. And if you ever want to remove video, you just press that trash can, and it will take it off your report. So this is how you just go ahead and be able to provide that. We also have a new feature of repeat video. So if you're putting a message on, say, an open house presentation, have it at an open house, you want to do a repeat. This repeat button is on the desktop version. So even if you report or do the video on your mobile, just come in here and you can mark this as repeat video, and then it will just continue streaming that same video you provided. So I want to point that feature out. So let's go ahead, and then when you're doing a video, just remember eye contact. If you're new to it, a little shy with the camera, it's really easy. Just go ahead and put a sticky over the camera here, and that's how I started out because it's tough sometimes on the camera. But just do that, and it really helps. And just remember eye contact. People want to know who you are. They're trusting you with their financial, obligations. Seeing what they have. So just tell them a little background. Tell a little bit about the details of the loan options. Don't go in great details because you just want to capture a little bit of their information. Using Edge Live is where you'll be able to really reach out to them, hold that discussion. So this is a great way of introducing yourself, providing them a little bit of information as well as a call to action. So let's go ahead and press stop here. I'm going to go ahead and close out that video. And now let's work with Edge Live. So what I want to do is in the lower right-hand corner is the share button. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm copying my link. So this is another quick way if you're working on the desktop to get that link. It's just the share button in the right-hand corner. I'm opening a new tab, and I'm placing that link and pasted in that tab. So this is the borrower's copy. You could see before they could do anything, they have to press I understand to get and read the disclosure information here. So I'm going to go ahead and place my screen side by side so I'll be able to show you Edge Live, and I'll be bringing up my mobile as well for the Edge Live. So with that, you can see how we have our screen, the screen side by side. Let's bring over the disclosure information. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring over my mobile device. I'm using an iPad. And what I want to do is get out of this report. And let's go ahead and make this bigger for you. If you haven't downloaded the mobile app, it's quite simple. Just go to your app store in the PlayStation or the App Store and just download it. Just search for Mortgage Coach. So what I'm going to do, if you have your app, go ahead and open it up and place in the number 16TTR and a number 2. Press the arrow and it will open up your report. I'm also opening up the chat area, and I'm placing the link in the chat area if you want to be able to click on that and be able to follow along. So you can see that my video message is still converting. So if you send it right away to a borrower, it just converts a little bit. I'm just pressing OK. So you can see just like on the desktop, the mobile device is also asking, see my message just said my video is ready. It's all asking for the disclosure language too. So a borrower has to continue through clicking that disclosure to get through the report. So the right or left-hand side is the borrower or the loan officer's copy. So this is your copy. You have a clear all button at the bottom. The right-hand side, you'll notice, let me move my iPad, there's no clear all button, and the borrower is unable to do any kind of highlighting on the report. So this is how you know really quick if this is the borrower's copy or the working copy, the loan officer's copy. So it's quite easy to work with Edge Live. You just highlight the fields, and you can see how when you highlight the fields, it is highlighting on the borrower's copy, and it's driving the mobile device as well and highlighting those fields for them. So you could discuss those payment streams, and you could see how we'll open up the information, and even on the mobile device. Ooh. I mean, it's opened up on my screen. It's not reflecting. Let's see if it can open it. Okay. It will drive it. Okay, there it goes. It's a little slower on this device. So you have the information. You could see how you could talk to the borrower about the payment stream, about highlighting. I'm going to the title of my product. I click on the title, the whole column will highlight. You want to discuss the payment stream. If you go into the More Info button, you could see how I'm driving the report on each, the desktop as well as the mobile device. You could talk about how your mortgage insurance is no longer on your products, and you can see how you will drive the report and it will highlight it. So if I go to the closing costs and we want to discuss fees, you can even click on the fee details and discuss any of those fees. So you can see on the right-hand side just how I'm driving the report. Now let's add those ARM products. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go to my Edge account, close out of that Generate Link, and let's go hover mouse over Presentation and go to Select Report. And I'm going to now add my 5-1 products. Always advance the screen so that initiates the save. And then we'll wait on the left-hand side. You'll see all the reports are going to update. So the borrower just got their ARM products updated. My borrower side has been updated. The iPad is also updated, but I need to drive it through my report to have items go ahead and move. So let's talk about the ARM product, and you can see how I'm highlighting, and you can also see, oh, it hasn't been updated yet on my mobile device. So, but it will have it here, but you can see how it's easy to be able to add products, have them hidden for a little bit, and then bring them out and then have the discussion about an ARM product for them. So you could do this. You can also do any kind of modifications. You could change the loan amount. You can change rates, terms. It can all be done on real time with the borrower on the phone. Whatever you do will also update on the report. And not only that, you're able to do this on the mobile device. So let me bring back my mobile device, and we're going to actually make this a little bit larger for you. Just one moment. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is the report we're just looking at. What I want to direct your attention to is the silhouette in the upper left-hand corner. That silhouette will allow you to log into your Mortgage Coach account and be able to record a video as well as work in Edge Live. So if you go ahead and sign into your mobile device, you could see that today I have my stats. I had 3 reports I worked on, and I've had 6 views. So that just gives you a little update of what you're doing today. What we want to do is, before we go into clients, I want to go into the silhouette, which is in the upper right-hand corner. In this area, this is the first time you log in, you won't see it, but you can come back to this and you can turn on your album prompt. So an album prompt is really good to use if you're wanting to be able to put a pre-recorded message on your presentation. A lot of people do a pre-recorded message for follow-up. So it's great to be able to have a pre-recorded message, tell them the follow-up to the loans, what they should be expecting to see in the next coming weeks, and you can provide that information through the video. So point that out. Now I'm going to use the arrow in the upper left-hand corner, and I am on an iPad. If you're on an Android device, you'll have a little back arrow at the base that will go move you from screen to screen. So now go into your Clients section. So click on Clients, and you can see that I have my files over to the right here. Reflector is having issues with GoToMeeting. You should also have some data over here. The difference between these 2 columns is these are the presentations that I have recently edited, that I've gone into and used the data. The ones on the right-hand side are the last presentations that have been viewed by somebody. So your borrowers, your partners, yourself possibly. So that's the difference between the 2. So I want to go into the file we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Lori Lytle. And when it comes up, it will go ahead and provide me the option to be able to choose total cost analysis. Oh, there it goes. So I chose total cost analysis. You also can have created a seller buy down or press done. So the next option you have is view the report. You could do a video or you could do live reporting. So I'm going to select live reporting, and this will also let you work with the borrower and be able to talk to them. So if you're not in the office, not at a desktop, you could still work Edge Live and be able to answer any questions. So with that, I would just go into my summary section, and just like on my desktop, I'm able to do highlighting. And I'm just tapping on the specific fields, and you could see, let's go ahead, and you could see how by working the iPad, it is also driving the report for the borrower. So you have two ways of being able to drive Edge Live, either through your mobile device or through your desktop. So anytime you're out, you would be able to, if you got a call, you could still reach your borrower through Edge Live. So now let's go back. That is our report. I'm going to go back one more screen. I'm just sliding to the right. Let's go back into the silhouette, go back into the client, and let's show you how you can record a message. So I'm clicking on Lytle again. That's the report we're working on. I want to go into the total cost analysis, and I want to record a video. So you can see, hi everyone, different angles. So you have the option to be able to record a video this way. You'll notice on the iPad, most of your mobile devices, you have a way to switch the screen. So you could go ahead and do so. And what this will do is allow you to be able to record either walking or have someone record you. But this is a great way, if you're doing open house presentations, this is another way of just being able to walk through and talk about different loan financial options you'd be able to help with the borrower. So again, you particular case, I have a record, a way to switch the camera forward or facing away. And also if you wanted to cancel, you could press cancel right there at the base. So you have all those options right there, and I'm just pressing cancel, and it takes me back to my reporting options. So that's how you'd be able to place a video on your mobile device, also using Edge Live through that mobile device as well. So I'm going to go ahead and press done, and it will carry me back out to the screen. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and bring this over. And if you had any questions on that, please let me know. Last thing I want to do is just cover those fee templates really quick for you, and we'll wrap up the call. So if there's any questions in the meantime, if you want to go ahead and place them in the question area, I'll go ahead and address those as well. So let's go to Edge, and let's go into our fee template. So I'm going to Products, and I'm just picking my fixed rate product and going to my closing cost details. So with the closing cost details, this is the best way of creating them. If you do not have any fee templates at all built, the best way of creating them is get a fee cost sheet. So a fee cost sheet for, say, a fixed rate, FHA, or VA, and any specific products you have. And that fee sheet is going to give you fee descriptions, dollar amounts, and if your fee is an APR fee or not. So that's the quickest and easy way to do it. And what you would end up doing, actually, let's start with a new client so I'm clean. So I press new client, I'm going to a product, going to my closing cost details. So now with that fee template, the way you want to do it is you have add a fee and add a custom fee. Add a fee, you could see I clicked it a couple times and I got a couple line items. You have your drop down. You could type, say, if it was a processing fee, put in that dollar amount and mark it as an APR. And that's why I was saying a fee sheet is really good, because it will tell you the description, the dollar amount, and APR, and it follows that flow. Say appraisal fee. So I come down here, choose appraisal fee, put in that dollar amount, and I'm not marking as APR. So that's how you could do APR, non-APR fees, but sometimes you have a fee description and it doesn't match. You can't find it in the drop-down. You have a custom description. So that's how you can go to Add Custom Fee and put your own description in. So I'm just putting custom fee description. You have the option if you're using the percentage field, if that's based off of the loan amount or the sales price, property value. If it's a prepaid fee, that's like an escrowed item, a cost fee that's not a cost to the loan, or if it's an APR or not. So you'll be able to identify that fee, create that description, and that will now be in your drop-down. So you'll be able to save it. So once you build out your fee template, at the very bottom, you always want to save it. So fees, I'm putting in today's date because I want to show you where you can find this later. So once you build out your template, you press OK. And now the next time you have to create a template, always start with that first one, and then you could build from it. And that's why the first one takes a little work, but the second one, third one, fourth one, it's just copying and repeating it. So that's how you could create a fee template here. I want to now go to our settings in the upper top area, and this is where you can edit those fee templates. So if I go to settings and I click on fee templates, you can see my fee template I just created is right here. So if you ever need to update a template, say the price changed, this is where you would want to do it. If you're on an enterprise account, if you have fee templates and you do not see anything here, that is because they're at the corporate level coming down into your account. So that's why you won't see those here. But if you do pull a template down and you save it, anything you save will be in your settings. Even if it's a corporate template, you save it, create it yourself, it will now be down in your own fee template in your settings account. I also want to point out down in the lower left-hand corner, this is how you could start a new fee template without going into a product. Same type of process. So if I put fees 2, 8, 20, 15, identify the state if you originate multiple states, press OK, and then you start from scratch, and you can start building your templates that way. We also have it where if you have a fee template built, you'll see that Save As button at the bottom. That's your copy feature. So if you click on that, you can copy it easily into a new fee template. So again, it's always the first one that's work. All the other ones, you have different options of saving it or copying it and being able to develop them from there. And then any custom fee descriptions, you'll see that Fees button. You could see all the different descriptions that are in here that you could go ahead and modify if you spelled it wrong or realize you didn't mark it as an APR or want the percentage value to calculate off the sales price. So that's how you can edit those fee descriptions right in that area here. So with that, that is your fee templates and how you'll be able to create it. We do have a video tutorial that does discuss that in further details. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my Mortgage Coaches Training Thursday. I'm going to be staying around. If you have any questions, I could go ahead and answer them for you. So just put it in the question area, and I can address those. I'll be around for another couple minutes. If there's any topics that you want to see on this Training Thursday, any specific loan scenario that you want to see built, email us at support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'll have our next Training Thursday going around that particular topic. So with that, thank you very much for attending. Any questions, please let us know. Email us at support, and we can assist you, and I'll be around for a couple minutes to answer any questions. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Yes, it is. You can find this presentation. When you're in Edge, go ahead and click on the Help button. When you click on the Help button, it brings you to a new page, and you'll see right here, Coaching Call Archives. Click on that, and today's call is going to be listed right at the base of the August calls right here. And you can see all our Tuesday coaching calls as well as past Training Thursdays and different webinars we have is right here. So you'll be able to do that and be able to review this call. We also have in our knowledge base, just wanted to point out, there's also a search engine. So if you did a search on, whoops, let's go ahead and go back to my search. If I did a search on ARM, if I had questions, all the video tutorials for ARMs will go ahead and list. So wanted to point that again. So You're welcome, Lisa, and same with, okay, great. Thank you, Marcella. So, any other questions? Let me know. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. Thank you again for attending Training Thursday, and we'll see you next week. Have a good day.